overlooks the entire street, and I had my blinds open. I had startled and looked up and out the window towards the nearly dissipated sun because I had heard what sounded like an asthmatic man gasping for air through a megaphone over top of a vocal, frightened cat. I stood up from my couch and walked briskly towards the window. I cupped my hands above my eyes to deter the sunlight and pressed my face against the window. And I saw it. It was pursuing a small cat, ran like an ostrich. Where it was not bald and discolored, it was spotted with long patches of spindly hair and networks of pulsating blue veins. Thinning, isolated strands of gray hair flattened against its flaky, decomposing head. Its flapping, low-hung chin, keeping rhythm with its bouncing stride as it sprinted. The sprinting thing began to overtake a creature built for agility. Ultra-thin, ultra-broad shoulders, dutifully bounding up and down in harmony with its tree branch-like arms, easily giving it at least a 5-foot reach. Mammoth hands, chopstick fingers, and those repulsive chameleon eyes. Buckets of drool spilt impatiently from behind its hellish teeth. Emaciating, stilt-like legs completed the horrific image. Altogether, I observed an 8.5-foot freak show with greasy hair practically leaping from yard to yard, chasing this poor kitten for a reason ostensibly beyond simple sustenance. The cat approached a fence on the left side of the street. It leapt towards a delusion of safety. The beast proceeded to effortlessly jump from the sidewalk over the lawn and snatch the animal from the top of the fence with its talon-like claws, as a falcon might. The cat didn't stand a chance, nor did it even manage to voice a squeal. The thing disappeared into the shadows with its meal. An unforgettable 2.5 seconds. Then I thought of my son. He could have very well been in the place of that plaintive animal. No, I should never say such things. Regardless, what am I to do? Forego what little time I have throughout the year with my boy because a scary monster is on the loose? Tell my ex-wife my neighborhood in the middle of nowhere has become too dangerous for our son to stay with me? Buy a rifle and hunt the thing myself? No matter. With only 2 days until Halloween, I doubt there will be any more trouble. Saturday, October 29th. Thought about calling the police, but for what exactly? I definitely couldn't report a burglar or even anything human for that matter, because they wouldn't be looking for what needed to be caught. No one can know. Earlier tonight, my neighbors threw a street-wide costume party at their place at the entrance of the street. I didn't go because I had to work late, and after I picked up James from his friend's house, we anticipated having a game night with just the two of us. Sometime during the night, James took a bathroom break. He was gone for over 15 minutes. When he returned, he seemed excited to inform me that he looked out the living room window in between the blinds and saw what he described as a really tall, weird-looking person with a bag running patiently to the house where the party was being held, empty bag in hand. According to James, it would disappear into the backyard of the house and seconds later bolt out of the yard with a full bag and tear off towards my neighbor's house wearing a costume. He repeated this process several times, each time wearing a different costume than before. He said that on its last round, It stopped in the middle of the street, cocked its head to the right slightly, and its right eye slid to the side of its head and stared right at him, as if there weren't blinds between them. He said that it turned its head 180 degrees and locked eye contact with him, and then its colossal mouth sluggishly transformed from a probing expression to the widest smile he thought he'd ever seen. Millions of teeth were his exact words. He said that its smile had then hastily collapsed, dropping the chin into a visible free fall, which ended with a swinging slap on its chest. It then darted off to my reclusive neighbor's yard, and that was when James decided to come alert me of his findings. I thought of that horrid monster smiling at my beautiful boy. I despised the idea. I tried to envision what that particular smile might look like, though I really couldn't. I didn't think a flapping maw that gargantuan had the muscle to maneuver that flailing chin in the first place. Then again, it had to eat sometime. Sunday, October 30th. More decorations were stealthily, as always, erected by my mysterious neighbor. A couple dozen or so skeletons, all different sizes, all dressed in cliché Halloween attire. There was a Marilyn Monroe skeleton, a Darth Vader skeleton, an Abraham Lincoln skeleton, so on and so forth. Every one of them was strung up by the back of its neck, feet swinging, head looking down. I really wanted to ask this guy how he comes up with all this, where he gets it all. Perhaps if he knows that last night's rain washed the color off most of his little knickknacks. Gotta hand it to him, though. That slew of morbid decor in combination with his filthy, run-down, cobweb-covered home emits a true horror movie feel. Late that night, I had nearly fallen asleep when, while finishing up some of my work, when my doorbell rang. Again and again and again. I reluctantly rose up, walked toward my front door. It was past midnight. I opened the door. It was my neighbor. No, not whatever lived next door, but the fellow who lived behind me on the other side of the canal. He was disgruntled. He was out of breath and threatening me about something, but none of it sank in because one of the skeletons hanging from my neighbor's tree, a newcomer, was staring right at me, its jaw unhinged. Unlike the other skeletons, it was smaller than them. It was dripping with something. I shuddered when moonlight revealed it had eyes, big blue eyes. I then turned to face the man yelling at me. "You listening over there?" "Oh, yeah." "The hell you trying to pull off? You almost gave my wife a heart attack with that mask." Apparently, my son and I aren't the only ones who have spotted the neighborhood missing link. How could he possibly confuse that thing with me? "And don't try and smooth talk your way out of this one, pal. I saw you jump clear over that fence of yours. The hell you managed to do that is I still am wondering. Crawl right back into your basement. It's dark and all, but no doubt it was you, pal." "I'm terribly sorry," I improvised. "I don't know what came over me. If there's anything I can do." My heart sank. I thought about what he said. "Wait here." I sped off into my home. I bolted down the hall. I began to spasm as I neared the guest room door. My trembling hands applied convulsing energy to the doorknob, then turned and flung the door wide open to reveal my son, sleeping facing the wall just as I had left him. He never sleeps with his head all the way under the blankets, but I was too flustered to care. Reassured that a mass was at rest under those covers, I jogged back out to my bewildered guest. I didn't know what to think anymore. Sorry, he interrupted. Save it. I ain't give no shits at all about your problems. You just stay the hell away from me and my family, you hear? Yeah, sure. A calming chuckle dug its way into his angry tone as I recognized those freshly familiar, bottomless blue eyes stuffed inside the head of that skeleton. I gotta hand it to you, though. I nearly busted out laughing when I saw you running around wearing that little kid's Buzz Lightyear costume.